Hi, Victor. My husband and I, Steven, we're just retiring from the military. So he just retired in July. I retire next March. So about 6 months from now, I'll be retired. And we moved here to Texas, and we started building a home in 2022 because we knew where we wanted to settle. And we also knew that we wanted to get into real estate investing as our second career. Of course, like every good person of our generation, we started getting on the podcast and listening and getting insight on what it means to be an investor, and just really getting in the books, reading books, reaching out to people, just trying to gain mentorship really on what it means to invest and how we could be more successful when we got to Texas, because it's a big transition from military life to now we're business owners. We were listening to David Green on his podcast, on Bigger Pockets podcast. Yeah, and we got onto his website and found you through there as a real estate agent here in the Austin/San Antonio area, the whole I-35 corridor basically. And reached out to you and got on your mailing list, and then found some property, a threeplex through you, which was great because it was during a time when the market was crazy. In the beginning of 2023, the rates were skyrocketing. We were wondering if we were going to be able to do what we wanted to do and invest with what the rates were doing. But we ended up finding a great deal with a great interest rate, just because it was a seller financing deal that you and your team were able to get done for us. So we were able to get into that. And since then, we just hit the ground running here in Texas. We've been here now since June, and we've gotten involved in a bunch of other deals and just going crazy, and I'm not retired yet, and my hair's on fire.
Awesome. There's so many things that we can go into, specifically like those big buzzwords, right? Like seller financing and like being able to do properties that way. Very cool. We'll jump into like a lot of those items. So I appreciate that. Steve, what about you? You're up.
All right. Well, my name is Steven Little. Amber and I are married. I am an Army guy through and through. I've spent 18 and a half years in the Army. I retired on July 19th. Spent a lot of time deployed, doing some things. So shout out to all the military folks that are watching this. As you can tell with my background and everything, huge patriot. And as far as, that's kind of the military side. Once a soldier, always a soldier. But one of the things that I like about coming from a military background is becoming a civilian. There is way less structure. And one of the things, like Amber touched on a minute ago, one of the things that I knew we wanted to do coming out of the military is invest in real estate. What we understood from the very beginning as young soldiers, we all need housing. Housing is always going to be at a premium. It's a finite resource. So when Amber and I realized that, hey, here's my exit date from the Army, what are we going to do, and what are we going to put our eggs into, which basket? We started, like Amber mentioned a minute ago, we started listening to all the podcasts. We started going down the YouTube University rabbit hole and soaking up as much knowledge as we could. But what we understood going through that was networking was going to be our number one resource, because we didn't know what we were doing. We were just trying to figure it out and make some things happen along the way. And as Amber mentioned a minute ago, we got connected to you, which I really respect what you're doing. Your systems that we were able to use, your mailing lists, all the way from actually getting a chance to sit down with you across the table, face to face. Everything that you've got going on is exactly what Amber and I aspire to do. But we just understood that real estate's never going away. It may evolve, but it's never going away. How you invest and where you invest is going to constantly change based off of the market and some unique factors about it. But we knew that real estate was where we wanted to find ourselves. So here we are, like Amber mentioned as well. We moved to Texas. We got connected to you. We found 319 South Olive. And it was just a great process. And what we have not been able to share with you so far is all the things that have kind of stemmed, if you will, out of 319. We met the seller, we did some seller financing, and now we have a nonprofit organization, which is a huge undertaking in itself. And that opportunity, meeting and buying that property from that seller, also got us into a bunch of the rental arbitrage things that we're doing now, which is, if this may not be the right time in the podcast to say it, but to the audience that's listening to this, the way that you treat people and the questions that you ask And the doors that could potentially open from that are innumerable.
Yeah,
Networking, I mean, I know I'm getting a little bit long-winded here, but you can attest to the people that you surround yourself with, the networking efforts that you put in will open many, many doors when it comes to real estate. And I, for one, am very glad that we got connected to you, Victor. You have definitely, I think were, if I could say it, you were like step number one for us in our real estate investing journey. So again, huge props and thank you to you.
Wow, I don't know about all that. That's kind of wild. I appreciate y'all. And like you guys, you guys also have to understand how to be like decent clients, and it's not like 319 South Olive was a walk in the park, right? There's definitely hurdles in that transaction, and that's just like you are of the disposition. There's some people who are meant to be investors and who are meant to make a big splash in this business, and there's others, candidly, who are not. And you and I, we've all bumped into those people. You guys are of that disposition, though. Like, you're going to have a huge and thriving business, and it's going to be awesome to see it grow. So I'm excited to be in partnership with you. There's so many things that you mentioned that I want to dig into as well. So and I was just looking back through my notes. We had our first conversation, I think it was Amber and I, on February 21st. So it was like not that long ago, and you guys have just been on a rocket ship, absolutely tearing it up. So tell me, I remember when we sat down, we were at that brewery, we were talking a little bit about your Turo business. You were saying how you have to adapt to the marketplace. Are you guys still running that? What's that look like?
Yeah. So it's a little bit interesting. In a nutshell, to answer your question up front, we are still running that.
Yeah.
Much like real estate, it's an ever-evolving landscape. And
always.
As real estate investors understand, we go where the money goes. We go, not even that, but I don't want to say that to make us sound like we're money motivated, but if I'm being honest, we go as real estate investors, we go where the opportunities go because we want to find assets and not liabilities.
Yeah.
At a very base level, that's what we want. So being that we started off our Turo business in Hawaii, we were running that
in 21, so it was a great time.
Yeah. So we started off, I put on my running shoes, my tennis shoes. I would drop off one of our trucks at the Honolulu airport and I would run 4 to 5 miles back to the house. That's where we started. Let's
go.
Hey, we had to figure it out. Our hair was on fire back then. Our hair was on fire now. That's what we were willing to do. Something that Amber and what I want people to understand, what I want you to understand, and how we obviously continue to work together in the future. I want people to know that we're willing to do what most people won't so that tomorrow we can do what most people can't.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I'm getting hyped. I'm getting fired up right now. Let's go. I love the fact that you're running 5 miles to drop off the car because, you don't have to do that, right? You could just put in the instructions that, hey, you have to Uber to my lot and pick up the car here. You were giving that convenience factor of being able to toggle that little lever on Turo, which says, hey, you can get airport pickup, and that increases your bookings, increases ROI because you're willing to put on your effing running shoes. Let's go.
Exactly. So
that's good.
I got it. Cool. I shed a few pounds throughout that few months of doing that, but it was good though. So long story short, we moved from Hawaii to San Francisco. We are vacating San Francisco in favor of the Austin market. So to round out that question, that's where we're at.
I love it. Very, very nice. And then you also mentioned it's not just a money-making scheme, right? There's also so much good that we can do with, one, the influence that we acquire as real estate investors, as landowners, as business owners, two, the relationships that we build throughout all of the enterprises. So tell me a little bit about the American Spirit Alliance. That's the name of the nonprofit, correct?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. Tell me what's going on with that and what you're working and how myself or any of the people who are listening can support it.
Well, I was going to say, if there's anybody that's going to talk about relationship building and that effort, it's Amber. So
let's go.
I have to give that question to her.
Yeah, and just going off of hearing Steven talking about running back with the car, I think just overall, that's the kind of mindset that we're also trying to bring into everything that we're doing. You know, that servantship, and I think that's how we're running our short-term rental business. We're doing a lot of giving back, adding those little extra touches because we want to be the kind of people that people want to work with. We're running everything ourselves. We are not farming out any of our management because we want to have the personal touch, and that's important to us. And that's why the American Spirit Alliance was so important to us too. So the way that we got that was actually through Angie, who you introduced us to, Angie Boris. So Angie ran the American Spirit Alliance. She's the president of American Spirit Alliance, and she's been running it since 2014 as a nonprofit. And where it started out is they did 4 events a year, with the big event being a 22-mile 5-man relay race down a Northwest Military Corridor in San Antonio. So there's some history behind that, right? So back in World War II, the active duty Army field artillery, which is kind of cool because my husband's field artillery, the field artillery soldiers couldn't do their training at Camp Bullis or Joint Base. They couldn't do it. Now it's Joint Base. So they couldn't do it there. They had to go outside of city limits. So they had to trek this 22 miles outside to go to Camp Bullis to do their training. So now Angie kind of adopted that run, that 22-mile. It's a 5-man relay, so you don't have to do it all yourself, right? Unless you want to. You could probably do it yourself, Victor. But you might want to have a battle buddy there with you. But so she's been running that, and the last time that she ran it was 2019 because of COVID. So when we bought the properties in San Antonio from her, we went and met with her to get all the furnishings from her office in San Antonio. And we noticed that she had all these flags and all this just red, white, and blue stuff everywhere, just like all these carts. And we're like, what is going on? What is all this for? And she's like, actually, like, it's great that you guys are here because I ran this nonprofit and now I'm moving to Florida and I can't keep up with it myself because I'm going to be away. So it'd be great if you guys as veterans could take this over for me. So we started talking to her about that, and we decided that would be a great platform to give back, to take what we're doing and to do something for the community, because San Antonio is such a military-friendly community, military city USA. So since then, we've been very ambitious and trying to get it up and running for this year. At first, we thought about growing it for next year, but we were like, you know what? This is how we do everything. Let's just go with it. You know, let's just hit the ground running. Goodness. So we've been out there every day. Steven was out today trying to get some sponsorship because we have to pay the police and the firemen and things like that to help section off the place where we're going to, you know, and we have to have band come in. We're doing it big, right? So we're going to have vendors at the end, give t-shirts and all that. And we want to be able to give some of that profit back to veterans organizations as well. So that's the big goal. Obviously, this year we're doing it pretty quickly. What we're really hoping is that over the next few years, it will really gain some speed. We'll get to be well known in San Antonio. We have a meeting with one of the district representatives next week, who is a part of District 2. So that's his district that we're going to be running through. So we're hoping to get some feedback from him and some support from the community. We also have a flag planting event along the route. There's going to be over 4,000 flags that we have volunteers come out and plant flags every, 10 feet? We're planting flags along that route. Yeah, so it's going to be a cool event. It's going to be a whirlwind. It's going to be crazy, and we're probably going to mess a lot of things up and learn a lot of things. But really, it's about the long-term goal with this, right? This is the first year we're doing it. We're excited to be a part of it. We're now on the board for the nonprofit, so we're glad to be taking over it for Angie, because she's great.
I mean, if you guys can run this thing, and your crowd is very easy to please. If you just beat them up a little bit on a fun relay race and you feed them and you have some music, you're going to have a great time. Like, that's it, you know? So it's just good community building. So I think that's one of the coolest things that I saw when I was just kind of like reviewing and going back over your bio and such. I was like, that is special. Very, very nice. I'm going to pause here really quick. My baby is crying and my wife is working out, so I'm gonna put a pacifier in his mouth. Give me 1 sec.
Oh yeah, you gotta do one.
He's a little dude. Hold on, I'll bring him out here. He'll be happy when I hold him.
Nice. That's awesome. There's that little guy. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. He is a bruiser. He's gonna join us.
That's
There you go, buddy.
awesome.
This is Boaz.
Hi, Bo.
Hey, little buddy.
Bo.
Is this
Yeah,
your first? Is this your
Yeah,
guys'
he's
first
3
baby?
months old.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
Congrats, man.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
How's that sleep quality?
You know what? There's worse things than having to get up, at for
Absolutely.
an hour. Like, whatever. It's fine. When he starts fussing and crying, I'm like, can I get him now? Can I go get him now? I'm talking to my wife in bed.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
he's
awesome.
he's awesome. He doesn't want this pacifier. He just wants to hang out.
Yeah.
Cool. Rock
Yeah,
on.
I'm happy for y'all. Happy, healthy, 10 fingers, 10 toes.
Yeah, he's
Ready to
got him
rock.
all. He's been getting some good rolls in recently, so
Wow.
yeah, all good things. All good things. Let's
Love
jump
it.
into you guys bought the one seller financed through me, and then it was like compound effect into these arbitrage deals, and you're also managing all of the units on your own. So give me a quick rundown about what the current portfolio looks like, how many doors you're managing, and just like there's some war stories there. I mean, I have managers, and I still am engaged in all of our short-term rentals in San Antonio. I feel like every single day there's always something going on. So you guys must be getting pulled in 100 different directions right now.
Absolutely. I'll tell you a war story that just happened an hour ago. I was on the phone, like we just mentioned. Before I get out of order here, let me answer your question up front. We bought 2 properties even before we moved from Hawaii to Texas. We bought 310, and then from you we bought 319. So that together was 4 doors, and our real estate investing firm is called Patriot Investment Alliance. So those 4 doors were purchased under Patriot Investment Alliance, right? So there's 4 doors there that we're managing. We're running as short-term rentals because 310 is on Canyon Lake, 319 is down in San Antonio, right in the backyard of the Alamo Dome. So it's a very, very perfect location. And then, through, like you were saying, as things compounded, as we continued to network, we landed ourselves managing. I honestly haven't even sat down. I haven't had the time to sit down and count the doors, but I believe we're at 8 doors that we're managing.
Yeah, let's
as
go.
of right now. We're talking 1581 Parkview, we're talking 1251 Canyon Shores, which is a triplex. We're talking Rue Sophie, we're talking Verbena, we're talking Sorrel Creek, all these different opportunities for us. But the overarching theme there is we got in touch with a real estate investor who's just a very down-to-earth guy, amazing guy, just like you. We found opportunity because we were ambitious, because we were looking to solve problems for people. We ended up being able to do rental arbitrage, which the way that we structured it with all those 8 doors is via a master lease. And there's 2 different master leases that we can do. There's one that's fixed, and there's a performance master lease. And it's all about, is it a fixed rate per month, or is it a performance-based, like an 80-20 split, or maybe a 70-30, however you decide to structure that deal. We ended up doing a fixed master lease because of the seasonality. The unique part about San Antonio is that downtown San Antonio, there's always, as soon as summertime is over with, you see all the Halloween and the Dia de los Muertos decorations start coming out.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a constant need right in San Antonio, which I love. And being that we're in Military City, USA, you got Joint Base San Antonio, Amber mentioned earlier, you got Camp Bullis, you got places that are in constant demand. We're always trying to reach out to those military folks. But so to answer your question, that's where we're at right now. We purchased 4 doors, we're managing 8 doors, and then all the other things that we've got on the side of that. So I hope that answered your question fully. If I forgot something, I'm sorry.
No, you got it.
Yeah, we actually met him. So his name is Tommy Ray, and we met him through Angie, right? So these are all connections. Like one thing leads to another, and leads to another. Making connections, building relationships with people, and garnering some trust. I think that's where it also comes down to too, because Tommy wanted to work with us, you know, so he basically was like, here, I have all these properties all over the country. I'm ready to retire. I'm in my 60s. You guys manage them, and then you can have the option to buy them from me, seller financing,
That is
within
awesome.
a year. So we love Tommy. He's like our mentor now. He's bringing us along on some other deals that he's got going. He wants us to develop some land for him. So he's really just kind of taking us under his wing as like younger, I wouldn't say we're young, but younger entrepreneurs than him. And, you know, just trying to show us the ropes while also giving us a little cash flow while we're at
Yeah,
it.
and the thing is, like, everybody uses that word. They all want to find a mentor. They want to find somebody who's long in the tooth and wants to, you know. But it doesn't happen because you go and ask somebody. It's like, hey, can you be my mentor? Like, no, you guys were there. You were proven producers in the marketplace. You proved that you had real interest and you were willing to show up every day and do the work. And that's when the relationship made itself manifest, right? It wasn't because you're like, okay, who wants to mentor me? That's not the game. And I see that all the time. I see it so often where it's a young guy and he'll reach out and be like, hey, do you think you'd be open to mentoring me? It's like, dude, I don't know you. Like, I got 5,000 other things going on. No. But, so that's really, really, really cool. And then you guys mentioned another podcast that you're also running. Is that just another way to go ahead and give back and impart information? Tell me a little bit about the podcast that you guys have set up.
Yeah, this is kind of a special one for me. I love this because your last comment is why we started the podcast. So we treated, and I encourage everyone listening to this podcast, this episode is going to be fire. It already is. But everyone listening to this who wants to be in real estate investing, who has that mindset or has that thought of, hey, I want to find and reach out to somebody who can mentor me.
Yeah.
It's really not as simple as that. What I want people to understand, and what I think that Amber and I do not take for granted, is I love the headbutt there from the little guy.
Yeah, he just gave me a headbutt to the chin.
Yeah. But you've got to think about it strategically because you're looking to enter a space that is not freely given. So how does one enter a space that's not freely given? You show up in every conversation that you have, no matter if it's a cleaning person or if it's an actual millionaire that you find yourself getting around. You treat every single engagement that you have, every single interaction that you have, as if it's a job interview.
Yep.
If you have that mindset, like I think Amber and I, ever since we joined the military, I came in 2005, Amber came in 2004. I think one of the reasons that we were successful in the military is because we treated every day or every deployment or every mission that we went on, whether it was an FTX or it was a session of MDMP, we treated that as if it was our last one and it was going to be the best one.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it's funny. This is nowhere near the same scale or importance, but in sales, basic sales training is if you don't treat every single client that you talk to as if they're going to close your next $1 million property, you won't close any. That's it.
Exactly.
So every interaction, and also there's the adage, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So just like everything that you guys are saying, I 100% align with. That's absolutely awesome. Something I want to circle back to, I forgot to mention, probably when I was mid-headbutt by this guy, is one thing I love about the San Antonio market, and we cover DFW, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, like we work in all of these different submarkets. San Antonio is so unique because it's got 6 major industries within about an 8-mile radius. It's got major military presence, obviously, major universities, healthcare systems. It's got a lot of downtown tourism industries. It's got an international airport. It also has Fortune 500 companies. Like, it's got all 6 big mid and short-term rental drivers. It's the only one of the 4 major metros, DFW, Austin, San Antonio, or Houston, that has all 6 in close proximity. So like, it's really a unique market, very special, and I'm a huge fan of that market.
I agree. And that's something that, you know, that the comment that you made, being that we are where we are, which is at the very beginning of our real estate investing journey, and being able to get connected to you, I think I've more appropriately understand the scope and the scale of what you're doing. And that, like, I understand more about it now, but just casually saying, we work from DFW all the way down to San Antonio. That is a huge deal.
It's a lot.
That is a huge deal. That's not something just casually mentioning in passing. I really respect what you're doing, and I'm just a big fan. You are literally where we want to be.
I appreciate that.
And it's such a unique thing that you're doing too. Like the mailing list that you sent out, that thing could be gold for everybody who gets on it. Like sometimes I'll get on there and I'm like, oh my God, we have to get this. I'm like, we don't have time for any more. Like we have, but there's just so much good analysis that goes into those emails, and it's such a great resource.
I appreciate that. It's also like our analyst who we have, he's full time, and his only job is to dig up deals and run numbers. That's what he does, and he loves it. He's a CPA by trade. His name's Mike Bronner, just like a really, really good quality guy. And he'll dig into these properties all day. I'll shoot him over a property, be like, hey Mike, can you just like poke some holes in this one? Tell me what you got. And he's like, Vic, don't send me this trash. Like, we're not sending this out to the list. So it's also good quality control when you've got other people who are holding you accountable for sending out good quality properties and good quality areas that have good numbers that hit like all of your thresholds, So if you've got a team of people together overlooking these things, you're way better off every single time.
I agree. And I just wanted to mention that I really appreciate Mike, and your mailing list was actually what taught me about the beef strategy. The break-even appreciation focus. I think
let's go.
That's what I'm talking about. And I think there are a lot of unique opportunities for young, aspiring real estate investors that are either military or otherwise, doesn't matter. I think there's a lot of opportunities in San Antonio and up along that I-35 corridor. Totally. There are some amazing things out there. One of the things that I wanted to also circle back, because I don't think we answered your question about our podcast.
Yeah.
What I'm really excited about, and the reason that that's special to me, is because our approach to things is, like we were mentioning, you can't just ask for a mentor. You can't just show up and be like, hey, I'm a sponge, give me your information. Information brokering is a huge deal, and that's why I think podcasting is so big. What we want to do is we want to take our military experience, say, hey guys, hey, Air Force, Space Force, Coast Guards, Marines, Army, whoever it is, we've been in your shoes. Here's where we are. All we did is this, because I am a very systems-based person. As a warrant officer, I retired as a CW2. I am very, very systems based. I like checklists. I like steps. I like, things that I can action. I like seeing it on a piece of paper or somewhere else written down. And I know how to execute, and I know how to get after it. It's the formation of those systems that's the hard part. But what we want to do is use our podcast. It's called the Patriot Pod. We're up on YouTube. We're trying to expand our digital footprint and get it into more, Stitcher, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those things. We're trying to get there. But we want to help the military primarily. We help everyone. It doesn't matter. I don't want to be like selective, but we want to help those military folks get into real estate while they're in, or even if they're retired, it doesn't matter. Because we came from that place. And we understand, just as well as you do. I think from our perspective, just from my opinion, in the military, mentorship is even more important because lives are at stake. If you make a mistake, if you're not trained appropriately, lives are at stake and bad things can happen. So what we want to do is we want to offer our mentorship to anybody that wants to reach out to us. We want to, in a way, not bring down the barriers, but to open up more opportunities for military folks and those associated with military folks to find mentorship. We want to be able to bring that voice to people that want to invest in real estate and may not understand how, or maybe use some of the specific things like the VA home loan or other things that military folks have to take advantage of. I want to help them understand how to utilize those effectively, because we've been there. I wish we would have been in real estate, year 5 of the military versus year 18, right? And
that's always how it goes. Always how it goes. It's like the only regret that you have is that you wish you had done it sooner. I'm curious how. I think your vision is super powerful. How much of brokering information, being a resource for other military families and soldiers who are coming through the same situations that you guys came through, is that a constant reframing your mind that you reflect on often? Like, there's a lot of, what I have in my brain is there's a lot of instances where, man, you get to your 20th Airbnb message on the day and you're like, there's another issue, and like, maybe I just like sell and liquidate everything and I just like put it into a 401k somewhere and go forward. Like, do you guys feel motivated by that vision? Like, what keeps your wheels churning as you're building out the portfolio and expanding your enterprise?
I'll answer with 2 words, and then I'll pass it over to Amber because she's ready. The answer is our kids.
This little guy just screaming
Yeah,
over
and-
here, crying and being all fussy.
Exactly. That's why we do it.
Yeah, and I think it's the long-term vision. Like, we're not in this because we know we're going to cash flow thousands and thousands of dollars every single month. You know, we're in it for the long term. We're in it for the long-term appreciation of things. We're in it for what connections we can make, what impact we can make on the community. We both have tattoos that say leave a legacy, and that's important to us. You know, it's important for our girls to see us building something for ourselves and try to inspire them to do more, right? We didn't come from much in our childhood, so hopefully we're able to show our kids that, you know, they can do more, they can be a good person while they're doing it, they can help other people, you know, and try to build that legacy. So that's really what it's about, I think. And it's really more about the long-term vision. You know, if we're negative in a month, it's okay. We remind ourselves that this is not about the now, this is about the 5 to 7 years from now when we do a 1031 exchange.
Exactly.
You know?
Isn't the phrase hard times make strong people make good times make weak people make hard times? Like,
yes.
I feel like everybody I talk to who is moving in a similar sphere as you two, as myself, as my wife, when we were coming up, it was like our parents were working every single day, and my dad was up at 4 and he was home at 6, and he's still working every single day. God willing, I'll be able to retire in here shortly. But like, my mom ran a daycare out of our house, and she still does. She's still taking care of little babies, and
Wow.
It's just like stuff like that. You know, it's just like working every single day, getting up and getting after it. And it just like shows you how to work and how to show up, and just like that's the operative word, how to show up and like just put good value into the marketplace. So I think it's kind of cool, and there was no other outcome other than for us to do what we're currently doing. Like, this is like what we should be doing, you know, putting value into the marketplace, and I think you guys are executing on that at a super high level.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things.
Thank you. We were trying,
Go
and
ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
we're trying, and I will tell you, I will preface all of this with, we are not real estate agents. We're doing all of this without a real estate license, really not knowing what we're doing. We're just jumping in on the job training. I am getting my real estate license, so I probably put the cart before the horse.
Right. No worries.
You know, but we're learning and we're trying, and we're just trying to do it the best that we know how, to be good people to other people. And hopefully and of course I'm going to get my real estate license because we know what that helps for tax benefits and things like that, since we are managing so much and we want to create an actual, you know, management portfolio. But yeah, we're just out here learning.
Exactly.
So good.
Just as a quick add-on, we're doing this as well. I want to just add 2 things. I don't think that there's much better as far as the risk versus the reward goes. Real estate is one of the best ways to build equity. That's why are we here? Why are we here? We build equity. We 1031 exchange it. We HELOC it. Whatever we want to do. Building equity in something that you can take care of and put your, you know, elbow grease into is, I think there's no other. You know, I got it at the stock exchange. Whatever. If that's your thing, I love it for you. We know a guy that's very, very successful in it. For us, we want to put our mark on something. We want to build equity, and we want to one of the things that we really see a lot of value in is the way that we treat people. Like STRs, it's not an easy thing to get into. There's a lot of different
Not easy.
strategies that you can execute. Right? There's Airbnb, there's VRBO, there's Booking.com, there's all these different things. When you're talking the short-term rental space, now you can go to the medium-term rental space or the long-term rental space and have that be your strategy. That's fine. But for us, we want to be able to leave a mark on things. We want to add that personal touch, like Amber mentioned a minute ago. And I think that's where doors get open. I think that's where opportunity meets, luck is described as where opportunity and preparedness meet, right?
Yes.
So that's like, we want to stay down at the ground level. We don't want to get so big that we miss those opportunities. So I see this podcast as one of those opportunities. So
This guy is just not happy right
I
now.
know.
He's not happy.
I was going to say, thanks for
Funny.
dealing with us, Bo. I appreciate your patience, brother.
No, it's funny. My wife, she's been trying to get into some workouts. I'm trying to support her in it. And I had it in my calendar, too, that she was supposed to be leaving, or her workout started like 5:30 or whatever. But she took off. I was like, all right, he's going to sleep for sure. He's going to sleep. As soon as she left, he like starts fussing around. I'm like,
Yeah.
missed it. But you know what? This is like, it's like,
Real.
it's like part of the game, Like,
Yes.
it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing to be able to just like hang out. You have your little kids, and you're like, they're gonna have a beautiful life because of all of the things that we're talking about on this podcast right now, which I think
Exactly.
is like, there's some power there. There's some really cool stuff there. So let's wrap up. Tell us where we can find out more about you, and specifically, I want to know where we can find more info about the American Spirit Alliance. I think that is really cool, and I'd love to be a part of it. If you guys will have me, maybe try and do a relay or something down there, or at
Yeah.
minimum bring a sponsorship of sorts.
Yeah, absolutely. We're still trying to expand our digital presence, but everybody can check out AmericanSpiritAlliance.org. You'll find us there. That's our primary way to get in touch with us. We've got, my personal cell phone, Amber's personal cell phone is listed on the website, the email address.
Y'all are crazy.
Hey. Our email address is info@AmericanSpiritAlliance.org. Send us an email, get in touch with us. We're always looking for vendors. And I love what you just touched on. We're looking to find community engagement as well. That's the big hurdle that we're getting after right now is, like Amber mentioned a minute ago, we're doing that flag planting because people come out and they're like, why are you guys planting flags? Why are you guys planting?
Yes.
We're actually over 7,000 flags that we're going to be planting along the Northwest Military Corridor.
How long is that going to take?
It takes about a week.
Couple
Yeah,
days.
we've got 7 days
That
of
is
flag
nuts.
planting. You can also find us on the Patriot Pod. I think we've got Twitter or X or whatever it's called nowadays. I don't know.
Yeah, we have all those. So actually, our social is under our website. So we actually have a website, patriotescapes.com, and that's where all of our short-term rentals are housed. So we do use Airbnb, VRBO, all those, but we also started our own platform because eventually we want to take all of our rentals off of those spaces because we can offer better deals, we can cut some costs for folks, and it's just better to have it under our own platform. So that's patriotescapes.com.
And we're doing the same thing, by the way, with all of our short-term rentals. Also, as a business, you do not want to be beholden to to Airbnb and their change of regulation. So I always encourage investors as you start to grow and build a portfolio. You can't have 100 doors all Airbnb, and Airbnb makes one change to their algorithm or one change to a rule or regulation, and now you're belly up, right? So you need to create some redundancy in your business, and I think that's a very smart move on y'all.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, y'all. Well, I appreciate you jumping on. We got through a lot of really cool things. Like, this is awesome. So I appreciate you. We're going to have to do it again, and we're going to have to...
And what is your schedule like to be on our podcast? We got to get you on.
Soon enough. I mean, we'll definitely be able to do it here soon. I'm closing a wedding venue, which is going to be really cool.
Wow.
Oh, we're trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's 185 acres and like big beautiful historic house on it and
Wow.
like a couple of barns, and It's going to be special. It's going to be special.
Congratulations.
We're calling it a heritage property, just like because they're not making parcels like that, you know. Like I feel like
Yeah.
they're all getting split up and they're chopped up and
Yeah.
developed, and this is just beautiful rolling hills and farmland. And we're gonna build out the wedding venue as a way to monetize it and let it pay for itself. But we're just gonna maybe we'll go deer hunt or something up there, and that's about it.
Let's go.
It's
September
gonna be fun.
1st, the hunting season opened up. Let's go.
I know, we got a cornfield right out my window, and I see the dove hunters out there every single day. It's a lot of fun. So I appreciate y'all. We will chop this up and get you out a whole bunch of really cool, a whole lot of really cool info and content, and it'll be a lot of fun for us. All right?
That's awesome. Thanks so much.
You got it, y'all. All right, y'all have a good night.
All right, you too.
All right, bye.
Night, Bo.
Good night.